Welcome to the Darkstream. Vox Day, voxday.blogspot.com. Please let me know if you can hear this because I've had some technical difficulties today. Good. Obviously you can. Glad to hear it. So I'm a little bit unhappy right now because for some reason my streaming software has suddenly decided to lock me out. So I had to quickly resort to firing up OBS. So anyhow, it's at least we're functional. At least we're working. But no, it doesn't have anything to do with being a boomer, you moron. First of all, I'm not a boomer. And I will ban anybody who calls me a boomer, just so you understand. I understand that, some of you don't understand the difference between a boomer and a not boomer. I am not a boomer. I'm actually fairly technical. The problem is the idiot software just decides that, we don't really understand that all of your information is already logged in. And so then I go to the site, with, did you forget your password? Well, no, I have my password, but anyhow, point is, that's that. So it was kind of funny that, I'm streaming early today just because I've got a bunch of stuff to do. We have some pretty big things going on tomorrow. So I am going to be, if you're on unauthorized TV, I'm going to be doing a video review for subscribers only of Ben Shapiro's The Right Side of History. And what I can say safely based on reading the introduction and doing a word search for Judeo-Christian, I can tell you very clearly it is a reprehensible piece of rhetorical bullshit. It's just terrible. Shapiro actually mentions Judeo-Christian 70 times in the book. The whole point of the book is to try to convince you that the Western civilization is based on Jerusalem and Athens. Not Christianity, not the European nations, not the Roman legacy of law. So, Henry O'Brien says, are you sure you aren't just going to have a conversation about reviewing? You're right. Maybe we should call it a conversation about the right side of history. So anyhow, it's kind of funny because it's very clear already that Shapiro still has not improved from his WorldNet Daily days of just regurgitating talking points provided him to another. His talking points that he was clearly provided were Jerusalem, Athens. Make sure you say Jerusalem and Athens a lot. Question, should we switch over for Voxiversity yet? No, not yet. Don't switch over yet. Just leave things where they are for now. We have something else that we're working on. Chaim Goldberger says, I thought you were crazy for endorsing Owen Benjamin. Now I think you're right, though. Owen's great. Owen is one of the few people who actually attempts to understand and tell the truth. So that's why I like him. So Candace Owens is on the Judeo-Christian values wagon too. Yeah, anyone who talks about Judeo-Christian is full of shit. Anyone who talks about Judeo-Christian is a liar. Dennis Prager, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, all of them, flat out deceivers, flat out worm tongues. Judaism is 100% opposed to Christianity. 100%. You can ask, there are articles written by rabbis talking about how conflating Jewish and Christian values is offensive and anti-Semitic. And so it's total nonsense. But let's have a little fun now. Let's look at, and this is very timely. It very much relates to what we have been talking about. And I'm going to open up a different window here just so I can see the chat and look this up. I was vastly amused last night because, here we've just been talking about gammas. And then Jordan Peterson produces this wall of text, this absolute wall of text, because he got rejected. And it's hilarious because this is nowhere nearly as egregious as what Jordan Peterson himself did to Faith Goldie. And yet he erupts with this massive wall of text crying about the fact that Cambridge University rescinds my fellowship, which of course, Jordan Peterson's a liar. We know this, right? So something, you don't know what he's lying about. Was it maybe not Cambridge University, but it was actually Harvard University, but they're in Cambridge, and so it depends on what you mean by Cambridge. Or maybe rescinds isn't what happened. Maybe they canceled it, or maybe it wasn't a fellowship. Maybe it was a grant. You don't know what it is, but considering that there are 5 words involved, you know that Jordan Peterson is not going to be telling the truth, right? Anaf Habib says, finally caught one again. Is JBP still a thing? Of course he's still a thing. Do you not know me at all? You should see how long. If you want to see the level of dead horse abuse of which I am capable, I suggest you go to the blog and look up, just do a search for Pearl Harbor. We spent well over a month talking about the prospects for a Japanese invasion of the West Coast. So anyhow, it was pretty amusing. So I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to translate it. So I visited Cambridge University in November of last year during my 12 Rules for Life book tour, one stop of which was the city of Cambridge, where I spoke publicly at the venerable Cambridge Corn Exchange. While there, I had lunch and dinner and various scheduled conversations with a good number of faculty members and other interested individuals who came in for the occasion, and we took the opportunity to speak with a welcome frankness about theological and philosophical and psychological matters. Translation: see, I'm a very important intellectual. I am. I also recorded 2 YouTube video podcasts, one with the eminent philosopher Sir Roger Scruton, presented by the Cambridge Center for the Study of Platonism, and another with Dr. Stephen Blackwood, founding president of Ralston College, a university in Savannah, Georgia, preparing for launch. Okay, so so they know that you're full of it. They know that you're, full of they know you're full of nonsense. You've actually talked there. I was also invited to address the student-run Cambridge Union, the oldest continuously running debating society in the world, a talk which was delivered to a packed house, a relatively rare occurrence. Do you see how important he is? Do you see how significant he is? And which, despite being posted only 4 months ago, is now the second most watched of their 200 total videos. I'm mentioning this for a very particular purpose, because I'm very important and people don't seem to understand this. Oh, wait, no, I was actually translating in my head. CUSU, the Cambridge University Student Union, not to be confused with the aforementioned Cambridge Union, pinned to their Twitter account the rescindment announcement 3 minutes before, ! In parentheses, the Faculty of Divinity did so, and in a spirit of apparent, in quotes, relief. The Guardian cited the following CUSU statement. We are relieved to hear that Jordan Peterson's request for a visiting fellowship to Cambridge's Faculty of Divinity has been rescinded following further review. Notice that. His request was rejected. Okay? His fellowship was rescinded, No, it's actually his request for one was rejected. No, I'm not doing a JBP voice, dude. It is a political act to associate the university with an academic's work through offers which legitimize figures such as Peterson. His work and views are not representative of the student body, and as such, we do not see his visit as a valuable contribution to the university, but one that works in opposition to the principles of the university. So this is funny. We got some buccos here. It seems to me, okay, Gamatel, it seems to me that the packed Cambridge Union auditorium, the intelligent questioning associated with the lecture, and the number of views the subsequently posted video accrued indicates that there are a number of Cambridge Unions are, this is funny, indicates that a number of Cambridge students are very interested in what I have to say and might well regard my visit as a valuable contribution to the university. You know what, Jordan? It's not up to you. It's up to the university to decide whether your visit is a valuable contribution, you moron. I mean, he can't believe that he's not important enough to be considered a valuable contribution. What a putz. I also have to say, as a university professor concerned with literacy, that the CUSU statement offered to The Guardian borders on the unintelligible, perhaps even crossing the line, as so much ideological puppet babble tends to, what in the world does it mean that it is a political act to associate the university with an academic's work through offers which legitimize figures such as Peterson? Jordan Peterson complaining about somebody's writing is like Jenna Jameson complaining that the girls are too slutty these days. I mean, it is astonishing. Do you see what I mean about the gamma delusion bubble and the gamma rage? Jordan Peterson's gamma delusion bubble was punctured, and he is furious and humiliated and burning with rage. And who could write or say something of that rhetorical nature without a deep sense of betraying their personal conscience? Now he's trying to attack them. Who could say something like that without betraying their personal... What a moron. Seriously, anyone, if you still take Jordan Peterson seriously in any way, shape, or form, you're an idiot. This guy is a total emotional gamma train wreck. He is not a significant intellectual. He is a complete and utter fraud, and the Cambridge University faculty almost certainly has noticed that. Remember, this is a guy whose LSATs were too low to let him go to law school. Every single frickin' lawyer in Canada and in the United States is probably more intelligent than Jordan Peterson. Because at least they had good enough LSATs to go to law school. Titus 278 says, slip Owen half of this, bud. I'm laughing. You're laughing. We're all laughing. I don't think Jordan Peterson is laughing. I mean, this is just pure gamma rage. So let's see here. In any case, that's grammatically incorrect. He was just complaining about the way about the statement to The Guardian, and he's now using incorrect grammar. In November, when I was in Cambridge, I began discussions with one of the faculty members, whom I had met briefly before in London, about the possibility of entering into a collaboration with the Cambridge Divinity faculty. Why would they want to collaborate with you? You know nothing about the Bible. I enjoyed the conversations I had at Cambridge immensely. Apparently they didn't. I learned a lot about biblical matters that had remained unknown to me in a very short time. He learned a lot see what a smart, special boy he is? He's such a smart boy. He learned a lot in a short time. He must be so brilliant. This was of particular relevance to me, but also perhaps of more broad and public import because of a series of lectures on the biblical stories of Genesis I prepared, delivered live at the Isabel Bader Theatre in Toronto, as if anyone cares, and then posted on YouTube, playlist here, and in podcast form. Since their posting, beginning in the May of 2017, these lectures have received about 10 million hits, as well as an equal or greater number of downloads. You know what? Ariana Grande has even more downloads. Maybe she should lecture at Cambridge Divinity. Anaf Habib says, Cambridge have figured out that JBP is overrated. No question. Plus, they don't want to have to deal with the drama and the gamma burnout and the rage. Large bureaucracies don't like drama crap, which is all JBP ever brings. Well, yeah, I mean, they know that they're going to get a lot of student reaction to us, and it's not worth it. He thinks that he is qualified to lecture at a divinity faculty when he hadn't even read the fricking Bible before he started doing lectures on it. This guy is a complete fraud. He is a complete charlatan. I cannot emphasize that enough. Peterson uses the colon so much because he is one. Oh my gosh. The first lecture alone on the first sentence of Genesis has alone garnered 3.7 million of those, which makes it the most well-received of all the talks I've ever posted online. You know what? The Cambridge faculty doesn't give a flying rat's ass about how many hits you get on YouTube, Jordan. He's such an idiot. I have received correspondence in great volume from religious people all over the world, Jews, Christians, Buddhists, and Muslims alike, and an equally large number from atheists, I bet he hasn't, all telling me that my psychological take on the Genesis material resonated very strongly with their faith, or that it helped them understand for the first time the value of these stories. Not the word of God, the stories. It's myth, you see. Kurgan here, can we ask him to write a PPPPS? Then maybe you too will see his brilliance. That's a good idea. No, I'm not going to talk about the Italy attack today. You seem jealous and bitter. If you think this is jealous and bitter, you don't know what jealous and bitter is. You think that I want to be anything like this charlatan? Why would I be jealous of this complete fraud? Good Lord. What would I be bitter about? I think this is awesome. This is hilarious. I'm reading the entire thing. Why defend Cambridge? Not what it used to be? No, it's not what it used to be. It's certainly not Isaac Newton, but it's head and shoulder. Even in its complete state of modern SJW-infested convergence and degradation, it's still head and shoulders above Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is a total fucking joke. He goes on and on about his accomplishments every single time. Every single time he talks about it himself. Me, I. Okay, you can see this for yourself. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be right on that, Jordan. By reading the comments on the YouTube channel, which are remarkably civilized and positive by modern social media standards. Well, good. I don't think there is another modern religious psychological phenomenon or happening that is generally comparable. It's also the case that my books, 12 Rules for Life and Maps of Meaning, both rely heavily on Judeo-Christian thinking. Dude, Judeo-Christian is complete bullshit. Judeo-Christian is a word that didn't exist before 1945, except that it meant a Christian who had become a Jew. Judeo-Christian is an intrinsic oxymoron. It's pure, inversive, rhetorical wizardry that was concocted post-Holocaust. Ben Shapiro mentions it 70 times in his new book because they're trying to get you to accept the conflation of Judaism and Christianity, which is not possible. It is no more possible than the conflation of Hinduism and Islam. There is no Islamo-Hindu thinking. There is no Judeo-Christian thinking. And here's the thing. The people at Cambridge University know that. The average American may not know that, but I guarantee the people at the Cambridge Divinity faculty understand that. They know what a fraud Jordan Peterson is. Anyhow, his books are predicated on the idea that the stories that make up such thought constitute the bedrock of our civil, peaceful, and productive society. No, it is not stories that make up the bedrock of our society. The former is now sold 3 million copies, 1 million in tongues other than English, and will be translated into 50 languages. The latter, a much older book, was recently a New York Times bestseller in audio format. Do you know how many copies it sold in its first 15 years or so? He sold less than, I think it was like less than 10,000 copies. Just a totally insignificant book. Total nonsense. A much older book was, this volume of interest is clear indication of the widespread cross-cultural appeal of the work that I'm doing. No, it's a clear indication of the fact that you're being pushed very heavily all over the globe because the intellectual rot that you're selling is useful to the people that want to rule the world. You're a useful idiot, Jordan. In the fall, I'm planning to produce a series of lectures on the Exodus stories. Yeah, he's thinking about writing, or he's thinking about reading Exodus for the first time now. Desiree Graff says, he wrote this with his pen of light, eh? And will we ever see a better example of gamma rage than JBP lurking in last night's live chat in your Darkstream about gammas? What about me, bucko? I doubt that was the real Jordan Peterson. But either way, who cares? I thought I could extend my knowledge of the relevant stories by spending time in Cambridge, and that doing so would be useful for me, for faculty members who might be interested in speaking with me, and to the students. He thought he could extend his knowledge of the book of Exodus by spending time in Cambridge, and that it might be useful to the faculty members. How? Why? No. I also regarded it as a privilege and an opportunity. I believed, and still believe, that collaborating with the Faculty of Divinity on such a project would constitute an opportunity of clear mutual benefit. See, Peterson's a fame whore. What he wants to be able to do, remember how he's talking about how he delivered the series of lectures live at the Isabel Bader Theater in Toronto? He's trying to move upscale. He wants to be able to deliver his lectures at Cambridge University because he wants to he wants to take on the intellectual rigor and the reputation of Cambridge and use it to make himself look more legitimate. But he's not legitimate. He's a fraud. He's a charlatan. He's a know-nothing. James P. says, I don't find much interest in the other creators on Unauthorized, but I am and always will be 100% anything you are 100% behind. Keep fighting the good fight. Proud to be a premium subscriber. James, thanks very much. But you know what? We're bringing on other creators, and you know, if you're not interested in one, there will be others that you're interested in. It's going to be really good. It's going to be continually getting better. And so, let's see here. Finally, I thought that making myself more knowledgeable about relevant biblical matters by working with the experts there would be of substantive benefit to the public audience who would eventually receive the resultant lectures. So he wants to go and become a student, but get the credit and the prestige of being a lecturer. TB88 says, only read a few paragraphs, saw the PPS, almost as embarrassed for him as when I heard his story about the cider, painful. JBP, have me on because me be popular on YouTube. That's basically the gist of what he's vomiting here in this wall of text, such nonsense. It is nonsense, but it's also useful, and it's also very educational because this is what gammas do. This is how gammas handle rejection. And this, by the way, is exactly why women despise and fear and have contempt for gammas, because this is exactly how gammas react when they get rejected by women. You know, they will write a long wall of text explaining why she's wrong to not be attracted to them. It's crazy. Any firearms content creators coming to Unauthorized? Not yet, but we're certainly open to it. Now the Divinity School has decided that signaling their solidarity with the diversity, inclusivity, equity mob trumps that opportunity, or so I presume. You see, I don't yet know because, and this is particularly appalling, I was not formally notified of this decision by any representative of the Divinity School. I heard about the rescinded offer through the grapevine. via a colleague and friend and gathered what I could about the reasons from social media and press coverage, assuming that CUSU has at least something to do with it. Jordan, they didn't rescind an offer to you. You requested it from them. He said, he's contradicting himself right in here. We were relieved to hear that Jordan Peterson's request. Jordan Peterson made a request. Somebody said, oh yeah, maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. And then they come back, they're like, yeah, we're not going to do this. He's a moron. And he's like, they rescinded it. Oh my goodness. I would like to point out something else. As I already noted, the divinity faculty tweeted their decision to rescind, consciously making this a public issue. This is inexcusable in my estimation. You know what? Fuck you, Jordan. You made it public with Faith Goldie too, didn't you? And then you publicly justified your decision. Well, she really should have asked one hard question. 3 would have been better. Maybe you didn't ask enough hard questions, Jordan. They did not equally publicize the initial agreement/invitation, which has to be considered an event of equal import. It's not your decision, Jordan. And 2, that they implied I came cap in hand to the school for the fellowship. It was your request. This is precisely the kind of half-truth, particularly characteristic of those who deeply practice to deceive. Ben Shapiro. As the fellowship offer was a consequence of a mutual discussion between those who had invited me to Cambridge in June and my subsequent formal request, and not something I had dreamed up on my own. Well, we know that, Jordan. You're always dreaming about banging your grandmother or your cousin. So obviously you weren't dreaming about speaking at Cambridge. It was his request. And are you sure that somebody there brought it up? Hey, Jordan, we should have you come teach us about something that you don't know anything about. That would be great. It's not going to make much difference to my future in some sense. See, the Gamma, he doesn't need her. He's moved on. He was really doing her a favor, and, he doesn't really want her that much anyhow, because, he could have other much hotter girls, and he can find other lecture opportunities. I have more opportunities at the moment than I can keep track of. Then why do you care so much, Jordan? Let alone, let's say, capitalize on. It's a complex and surreally fortunate position to occupy. Well, if you don't mind the fact that you sold your soul for it, you're going to hell for it. But, hey, at least you got some fame and money. Of course, you're already married to, that woman that you married. So it's not like you're really, doing the rock star thing here. But, hey, at least you got some nice suits. That's great. I'm not taking it for granted, but it happens to be true. In the fall, therefore, I will produce the lectures I plan to produce on Exodus, regardless of whether they occur in the UK or Canada or elsewhere, and they will attract whatever audience remains interested. Yeah, but you know what? You're not going to have the prestige of Cambridge backing it. Oh, well. Cassius Andronica says, JBP is just attempting to push salvation by works through a different intellectual vector, which when broken down is just more incestuous than others. Yeah. Let's see here. And then the other. Have you seen William Lane Craig and Peterson video talk? You can quickly see they're not intellectually in the same league, heck, not even in the same universe. No, I haven't seen it. I wouldn't bother because I know that. I have a lot of respect for William Lane Craig. I have absolutely none for Jordan Peterson. Silver Sister Hippie Chick says, Vox, love it when you say fuck. Cheers. Yeah, I need to watch that, don't I? JBP is Hiroshima and Vox is flying the Enola Gay. Yeah, except Hiroshima's Christian, sort of. So, and then let's see. Cordell Mitchell says, when I glanced through his response on your blog, I thought the PSS was a joke by you to poke fun at him. The fact that he actually wrote it makes it 10 times funnier. Yeah, it is. I laughed so hard when I saw that. Henry O'Brien says, great stream, Vox. I have to go to work. Do you prefer I watch the rest on unauthorized TV, or do the view counts there not matter? It's cool either way, wherever you like. VFM Bear says, I don't care is so much more elegant and so much less gamma. Well, the problem is you can't lie. If you care, you care. You know? So, Enrique Lau says, Vox, you're freaking hilarious. Your logic and wit is spot on regarding Jordan Peterson. Had it not been for you and Big Bear, I would have fallen in the lobster trap. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Anaf Habib says, all my buddies studying theology at U of T despise Peterson. They saw through his Judeo-Christian nonsense he peddles ages ago. Anyone not a midwit who has theology 101 know-how can see through his illiteracy and sham. I think that's true if he's talking about the Bible. You know, they might not see it when he's talking about other things right away. It's Nagasaki, not Hiroshima. I had it backwards. I'm sorry. You're right. $7 for the Red Wine Fund Supreme Dark Lord. Thank you. That is enough for the Reserva. So I appreciate it. We're going to do a wine stream here soon, in fact. Cave Beer says, waiting for Peterson to come out with a line of paintbrushes and cutlery. Keep going after that weasel till he crumbles. It's a pleasure. It is truly a pleasure. Let's see. I'll check. TB, I'll check your chat in a second. Larson Dillon says, Peterson's lectures on the Bible are 1% Bible and 99% demonology. Exactly. Absolutely. Kyle Bishop says, quick questions, Vox. How do you reconcile using cuss words despite Paul's teachings on not using perverse language? Thanks for all you do. It is a failing. I readily admit that I fail in that manner. I usually try to keep my language, at least publicly, clean, but I don't always manage, especially when I get carried away. Let's see here. Okay, I missed the super chat from TB. Of course, looking this up, I'm going to miss other ones, but that's okay. Here we go. JPP is constantly playing the victim and maintains relevance via being a victim. It helps that he has CAA backing him. Where is he in the victim pyramid? Well, he's nowhere near as low as he needs to be. He's trying to play the victim, but it's not working very well because, once you become a millionaire and you're world famous and that sort of thing, people don't feel very sorry for you. And Charles Carlson says, please put this towards the wine stream. I shall be proud to do so. Thank you, Charles. So let me go on. I think that it is deeply unfortunate that the authorities at the Divinity School in Cambridge decided that kowtowing to an ill-informed, ignorant, and ideological mob trumped participating in an extensive online experiment in mass Christian and psychological education. It's not Christian education because you're not a Christian, Jordan. In fact, allowing you to lecture there would be kowtowing to an ill-informed and ignorant man. You're ignorant, Jordan. We know it. You're not fooling anybody. Remember, I pointed this out about gammas. Their posturing and their pretensions are transparent to people. We can see through you, Jordan. Given the continued decline of church attendance, the rise in atheistic or agnostic sentiment, the increasing irrelevance of theological education, and the collapse in interest in such matters among young people, wiser and more profound decisions might have been made. See, what's cute about this is Jordan Peterson doesn't even realize that there probably are not more atheists in the average gay nightclub than in Cambridge Divinity School. The divinity schools and the seminaries have been completely invaded and converged. But he doesn't know that because he's ignorant. You see, it matters whether people around the world understand these ancient stories. It deeply matters. We are becoming unmoored because we no longer share the structure these stories undergird. We're becoming unmoored because the continent has been invaded by invaders. This is psychologically destabilizing. Not as much as 51 school kids nearly being burned to death by an immigrant in Italy. That's a lot more psychologically destabilizing to everyone, especially the 51 school kids. It's producing a pathological and desperate nihilism that is increasingly common and at the same time a pronounced proclivity for the ideological certainty that mimics but cannot replace true religious belief. Well, I guess it depends on what you mean by true religious belief, doesn't it? Both consequences are bound to be, as the evidence certainly indicates, divisive and truly dangerous. No, the problem is people have moved away from Christianity. So are you preaching the gospel? Are you telling people to get down on their knees, to confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, and begin doing their best to walk the hard and stony way? No, you're not doing that. So you're not helping, Jordan. You're making things worse. I think the Faculty of Divinity made a serious error of judgment in rescinding their offer to me. You're lying. They are rejecting your request to speak there. And I'm speaking about those unnamed persons who made that specific decision. I think they handled publicizing the rescindment, again, rejection, in a manner that could have hardly been more narcissistic, self-congratulatory, and devious. I don't know about you, but I'm sensing a little bit of emotional projection there. I believe that the parties in question don't give a damn about the perilous decline of Christianity. I think they probably don't either, because they're probably not any more Christian than you are. And I presume in any case that they regard that faith in their propaganda-addled souls as the ultimate manifestation of the oppressive Western patriarchy, despite their hypothetical allegiance to their own discipline. Oh, so he's maybe suspecting that maybe they're not really truly Christians, so why was he trying to appeal to their Christianity? Again, this is just gamma-spurging, lashing out. I think it is no bloody wonder, ooh, so English. They're going to miss having you speak there, that the faith is declining, and with it, the values of the West as it fragments, with cowards and mountebanks of the sort who manifested themselves today at the helm. They're not at the helm of Christianity. Christianity is not declining because the Cambridge Divinity School is converged. It's declining because people are too proud to accept Jesus Christ as their Savior. They're too proud to humble themselves. I wish them the continued decline in relevance over the next few decades that they deeply and profoundly and diligently work toward and deserve. I mean, this is just pure gamma rage coming out. He's so angry and upset and humiliated. He is absolutely burning up with humiliation. This is so funny. P.S. I also find it interesting and deeply revealing that I know the names of the people who invited me, both informally and formally. They didn't invite you. You invited yourself. You made a request. But the names of the people who have disinvited me remain shrouded in exactly the kind of secrecy that might be expected from hidden, conspiratorial, and authoritarian and cowardly bureaucrats. How many were there? No one knows. By what process did they come to the decision? Since there were obviously people who wanted me there, no one knows. Jordan, it's not your business. It's their university. They're on the faculty, not you. You don't get a vote. They don't like you. You're out group. You're rejected. You're not good enough, and people don't like you. You're just going to have to deal with that. On what grounds was the decision made? That has not been revealed. On what role was played by pressure from, for example, the CUSU? That's apparently no one's business. No, it's not your business. You disinvited Faith Goldie. They rejected your request. Faith had no more. Faith didn't write a whiny letter like this and humiliate herself in public. Faith Goldie is more of a man than Jordan Peterson could possibly be. It is on such ground that tyranny does not so much grow as positive. Oh, yeah. So now tyranny is growing at Cambridge because they don't want Jordan Peterson. If you don't want to sit and listen to Jordan Peterson babble at you about things he doesn't know anything about, you're just planting the seeds for tyranny. I mean, this guy must have been something. I mean, can you imagine how he must have reacted when he asked a girl out on a date and she's like, yeah, let's just be friends. Be pages. PPS, because one postscript isn't enough. Here's something from Vice Chancellor Professor Stephen Toop of the University of Cambridge that's worth consideration. In the current context, the described openness is apparently part of the university's declared strategic initiatives regarding, what else? Equality and diversity. Bold mine. One very specific aspect of openness is being inclusive and open to diversity in all its forms. Diversity of interests and beliefs, of gender, of religion, of sexual identity, of ethnicity, of physical ability. Well, Jordan, I guess they're not so inclusive that they're willing to bring in intellectual frauds. Apparently, they don't want intellectual charlatans. Too bad. Well, You'll survive, I'm sure. Too bad your reputation won't. Anyhow, that was that was that was hilarious. Yeah, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. And doggone it, Jordan, people don't like you. Anyhow, I found that incredibly amusing, and I very much enjoyed reading that. So, um, it's funny. Hannah W. said, I pray he finds the Lord. I hope he does too. But, you're not going to if you're that intent on lying to yourself. Ogre Bear says, lobster butt is tricking otherwise strong deltas to be weak little soy guzzling gammas. I think he's trying to. I don't think he's succeeding. I think the only people who are really buying into his program are the low status lobsters. Submitted to Christ said, would you ever do a live stream about your testimony to Christ? Probably not. Amen, brother. Keep preaching the truth. I don't like to talk about personal things. So, yeah, Gamma Rage is pretty funny. I mean, it's pathetic in a way, and in some circumstances, you have to feel sorry for them. I don't feel sorry for Jordan Peterson. This is a guy who is wildly dishonest, wildly deceptive, a total charlatan, a complete fraud. And just so you understand, I felt this way long before he was whining about how, I'm reprehensible and that Jordanetics, the book that I wrote about him, is a low blow. It's not. I just wish he had written that treatise. That letter to Cambridge would have been an entire chapter in Jordanetics if it had come out before it. I can pretty much guarantee that it's going to play a major role in any book that I do about the socio-sexual hierarchy that relates to the gammas. That is the most beautiful example of gamma behavior by a public figure that I've ever seen. TB says, haven't received refunds for super chats for Big Bear for your information. Yeah, I think what they're doing is they're only giving the refunds to the super chats if you request them. That's what it looks like to me. So, anyhow, so enough about... Praetorian says, the hate is strong in this one. Hey, hate is a human right. Commissary says, tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Fraud. Exactly. Silver Sister Hippie Chick says, I love you, Vox. Thank you. But Crowder is having Shapiro on, and I have to go trolling. Go with my blessing. See you there? No, I'm not going to watch that. I don't pay any attention to that stuff. A gut check is never a low blow. Let's see. Yeah, Control B got his refund. But Control B, was it a refund for a super chat? And did you actually request it? Hillary Clinton, when she said, why am I not ahead, was a good gamma fit. She's not a woman. She's not a gamma. That's a Freudian slip. She's not a gamma. She's a woman. But yeah, I can see that in a way. Okay, submitted to Christ got the Big Bear refund automatically, so some people are getting it automatically. Pale Rider Bear says, I believe Peterson's doctrine of mediocrity and false acceptance of responsibility is known as the tradition of Giordano-Satanism, a bucco-sodomitism. There's a mouthful. The Prime Minister of New Zealand showed herself to be a tyrant. Not even surprised. What makes Shapiro so inconsistent? It's because he is trying to simultaneously appeal to American Christian conservatives, but he is trying to advance the interests of his racial supremacism. Owen's description of your reaction to Shapiro should be everyone's reaction to Shapiro. Oh, he is an absolute worm tongue. How can you be Christian and a racial existentialist? How can you not? What do you think the nations are? The nations are described up until the end. At no point do the nations disappear. If you want to argue that Christianity means that there are no difference in races and nations, then you can then you have to accept that there is no difference between men and women. It's exactly the same thing. Do you believe that men and women don't exist because of Christianity? Then you cannot believe that nations and race differences, or you can't believe that nations and races don't exist. Jordan Peterson is the inverse Hulk. Let's see here. Yeah, I heard about Shapiro calling me out today. I know why he's calling me out. He is trying to inoculate his book from the criticism that he knows is going to be incoming because he relies so heavily on Judeo-Christianity, which is a false and totally deceptive concept. Rollo Tomasi says, Jordan Peterson, Secret King? Absolutely. I mean, Jordan Peterson is, a King Gamma. He's a very successful guy. He should be an alpha. He should be a situational alpha, but he is so completely gamma to the core that even when he's in a position of wealth, success, fame, has, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, but he can't lead them anywhere because he's not a leader. He can't speak honestly to them because he's a fraud and he's a liar. So, that's why even a very, very small rebuke like this. I mean, can you imagine me throwing a hissy fit because somebody said that they didn't want me there? I mean, Google banned me from their campus. They literally banned me from setting foot on their Mountain View campus. I thought it was funny. I certainly didn't think about writing a huge letter to Google. Maybe I should. That would be funny. Joaquin, I never can pronounce that way. Joaquin. Joaquin Godina says, blessing to you and your family and Big Bear's family. One cannot lose when doing right. Thank you very much. I encourage everybody to pray for me, pray for my family, and pray for Big Bear and his family. It's not just the Shapiros and the Jordan Petersons of the world that don't like us. It's the people behind them too. I'm not afraid of them, but I know that there is a spiritual component to the battle between truth and falsehood. And so I would like as much, I'm not whining about how successful Peterson is at all. I know why Peterson is successful. Peterson sold his soul for fame and money. It's not, lots of people do it. Frankly, if I was going to do it, I'd rather have stuck with the whole techno band thing. I guarantee we had a hell of a lot more fun on Wax Trax and TVT than Jordan Peterson's having. You do throw a hissy fit about the platforming, but I don't throw a hissy fit. I'm filing a lawsuit, dude. We're filing lawsuits. They broke the law. We have stuff going on literally. I mean, that's what I was doing tonight, is working on that stuff. When you have people, you talk about, oh, it's just deplatforming by a private company. No, they broke a contract and they stole money from people. Do you understand that? How would you react? You would probably be pretty annoyed, I would think, if somebody stole a $100,000 car from you. That's what happened to us. That's what happened. That's what happened to us with Indiegogo. Big Bear, probably had even more stolen from him by Google. Okay? Just because you're a private company doesn't mean that you get to just break contracts and steal money from people. Also, by the way, they stole it from Big Bear supporters. Most of them haven't received even a fraction of it. And you're like, oh, you're whining about it. I'm not whining about anything. I'm pointing out that these companies are criminals. Jake Sarm says, here's $2. Thank you. Let's see here. Wrong Fitment says, it's a private company controlling its content. They don't have the right to do that. You don't understand. It's not a company controlling its content. The minute that money gets involved, then you have a contract. And there's a contract between the commenter and the creator. They're just the facilitator and they're just the agent. There are literally hundreds of years of law on the subject. The fact that there is a private company that has some content. First of all, also, you're a moron. They're not controlling its content. It's not their content. Read their terms of use. See, what you have to understand, altogether now, I'm much smarter than you are. I actually read things like the terms of use. I actually know what they say. It is not their content. They specifically decline to claim that it's their content. They make it very clear that it is your content. And the other thing is, they aren't refunding the monies. They refunded a very small fraction of it. They are stealing it, and they're doing so illegitimately. Let's see. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on. Yeah, it's important to keep in mind that these social media companies have been getting away with a lot of stuff. They've been getting away with a lot of stuff because nobody's been challenging them on it. And because of the way that they wrote their terms of use back before they decided that they wanted to get into the game of policing everyone, then that's why they have so many vulnerabilities. So it's going to be interesting. Let's see here. Could you be more specific about hundreds of years of law on contracts? Yeah, there's all kinds of precedent. There are any precedent that you can imagine, almost any possible relationship between various parties that you can imagine has been established before. And so, and these are all, this is what they call, commercial law. And so there's a lot of, there's massive quantities of law books that cover all these different situations and so forth. And so most of the lawyers for these tech companies pay no attention to this stuff. None. And so, they just can't do the kind of things that they're doing legally. Yeah. Contract law is the product of centuries of English common law, more or less. Yeah. What do you think about Merkel? I think that she is the second worst leader that Germany has ever had. The second worst elected leader. Freddie C says, I've been listening to SJW's Double Down on Unauthorized. I really like the premium content. That's great, but just you wait. You hide behind racial collectivism and then assume the only reason you are not as big as Jordan Peterson is because you believe in an uncomfortable truth. I'm not hiding behind racial collectivism. I'm not hiding at all. You know? I've been bigger than Peterson for 20 years. Peterson suddenly blew up about 2 years ago. I've been bigger than him until then. I will be bigger than him before he dies, most likely, because his 15 minutes of fame are like this close to being up, because he's now been exposed. He's a fraud. Everybody who looks into it knows it. You know, so I mean that's part of why he erupted in such a amazing gamma spurg, because he knows his time is up, and this is just further confirmation of it. It's finally happening. What he feared is finally happening. So, no, of course, popularity doesn't equal being right. I mean, you know, I've had to point this out many, many times. I mean, Britney Spears has sold far more records than, you know, just about any musician, all of whom is better than her. So, let's see. I don't think in a year that would be much faster than I thought. Yeah, I know about Shapiro blathering. That's nothing new. All right. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in tonight. If you aren't subscribing to Unauthorized TV yet, I would encourage you to do so. You know, you're already hearing some of the folks talking about how the premium content is good. There's going to be lots more coming soon. Remember, we're just getting this started. We're literally on day 5, and it's going incredibly well. And I hope you will join us there. Jason says, jealousy is always a tough pill to swallow, eh? At least you can still hypothetically kick Joe's ass, though. Am I right? Of course I can kick Joe's ass. Joe doesn't know how to fight. We've already been over that many times. So, you know, you guys want to set it up. Set up a debate with Jordan Peterson and a ring fight with Joe Rogan. That would be fun. So, anyhow, just like one after, and actually even better, and then a ring fight with Ben Shapiro. That would be amusing. Anyhow, well, have a good evening. We'll see you soon. This is the Darkstream, and I'm Vox Day.